Hello, everybody. How are you today? How is that? See? All right. Still gotta get that working properly again. Don't know what's going on. Gonna keep saying it every day until they fix it. By the way, hello, Wavy. Thank you for being the first one to jump in on the chat. What a day, what a day. Strong up day across the board. We had those double bottoms from yesterday. Those played out very nicely. Very nicely. By the way, if you're new here and you want to learn more of what we do, you want to learn when we go with our live streams, please do subscribe, ring the bell, and hit the like button. So that is very important. So you know when we do go live, Santa Rally next week. It's looking more and more like we've now flushed out the sellers, and we've got a pretty strong line of the sand in with the bottom. And today's price action was very nicely upside. I'm expecting it to continue. You're still going for 4,800. It theoretically could happen. I want to see how we react again at 4,700 before I do that. So let's just go through some of the stuff that happened today. Let's take a look at this price action. You can see here. Let's just take a look without all our indicators. So we've had a higher high than this high, and now a higher low than this low. So far it's still holding this very slight upwards channel. But the next key area you can really see on a closing basis is 4702 area, 4703. I've got to see a close above that before I put back on all the lines. If you just want raw price analysis, by the way, it's back in neutral mode with a bullish bias for me right now, because it made a clear line in the sand today. You can see we had that double we put up last night, hitting the first target, second target, come back 1 hour rotation zone, and finally pushing through there. Finally, we did have a potential double top here on the 1 hour basis while I was watching on the 1 hour basis, because here's that double. But on the 15-minute, you had this big hitch in it. It was horribly sloppy. So it needed to trigger on the 1 hour basis, and you can see it never did trigger. It would have needed a close below 77.75 before resuming the march up. So those were all those key targets. Getting back through that 4621 cluster. And then I just started using the harmonics and had to use it on the 15 minutes. So I'll just show you what I did. Coming from this low, we had this pausing area high, which then gave me this 4617. So I was watching 4617, and then this 4621 area, and then I had 4628, and you see stalling out there. These are great ways. We'll just learn to use these. They'll give you great ways to stay on a trend and keep finding levels to update stops or take profits. There was the next pausing area, which then gave me 4643. Don't think we could get much more accurate than that. We had a high of 46.41, 46.42.75 before it closed down for the day. So let's see right here. We got some 15-minute pausing there. Let's see with the end of the day. We'll just use the end of the day there. All right. We had bullish line in the sand all the way back down here, and it stayed above there, and there were bullish continuation patterns, a lot of ways to play this to the upside, especially with this momentum move. After it failed to really break down here, you got these momentum bars, pausing bar, big momentum bar, pausing bar. It gave you opportunities to just jump on this thing. And remember, when you see those momentum bars, you can always look for the 5-minute rotation zone. Here was a fantastic entry. So you had this prior resistance area, okay? Breaking through that with these momentum bars, pausing, letting the rotation zone catch up, and look how it's holding that. So if I just drew a line here, we use oh, come on. Don't be difficult today. There we go. So you see how coming back, retesting, prior resistance becoming support with the rising rotation zone and rotating up strongly. Again, that's a fantastic little setup to watch for. Again, rotation zone rotating up. Just closing slightly below it, but then rotating up again, then the little bigger pullback. And always at the end of the day, I start watching the 15-minute, especially after lunchtime and after, really start focusing on the 15-minute for rotation moves, and you got the little bigger pullback 15-minute rotation zone. Retest is 4621 area, and then a rotation up, but I showed you already how to do the clusters. Sorry, there's some noise outside. So for tomorrow, bullish mode. Bullish mode is a little stickier, trickier for tomorrow. I think I'm just looking. Like to make it higher, but we could even deal with a pullback to there. Let me see where this is on the 4 hour. See, this is, I don't know how aggressive I want to be yet. I think I'm going to stick on the more aggressive side tomorrow. And we're going to be up around this 46.28, maybe slightly higher. I'm looking at around 46.30. Around 46.30, especially for the U.S. session tomorrow. If you get pullbacks with the Asian session or European session, watch for the 46.04, 46.05 area to hold, and 46.05. Yeah, and a retest even towards the bottom of the 1 hour rotation zone and a rotation up. That would keep it in pretty bullish mode for even with the overnight session. If it rallies up, key area, we now have a pretty substantial cluster, 46.58 to about 46.62. So I'll watch for first level there. Then about 46.73. You pull off some of these levels there. That's going to be insignificant for right now. I can always put those back on. Then about 46.87 to 46.89. Then let's see. I got to go back and take a look at my bigger picture chart. What was that line from? Oh, that was from a prior bearish mode entry. Okay. All right. Then I'm just seeing what's up here higher. Then we have 47.02 area. Let me get a line back there. 47.02, 47.03, 47.05. That's really the key resistance if we really continue a strong rally. I mean, if you get a repeat of today, that's where it will sit. Let's take a look. If we did drop below this 46.05 area, next support was this little hitch with the 25% harmonic, 45.75. Below that would not be good at all. Let me move this trend line. This is technically now a redraw, the way we do trend lines. So that's a key line in the sand. But let's take a look back to the downside. If we drop below there, I'm at about the 12.5% harmonic and a price volume balance point coming in at about 45.48. Then below that, I'm with the with this trend line. That trend line's got to hold. But if you start wiping out today's price action, that would be a disaster because this is, again, is a very bullish day upwards. So it should be able to continue at least up to this 4,700, 47.05 over the next coming days. Hey, Dan, what was I right about? Not trying to be right. You just have to identify the things and plan for it and then take advantage of it when it starts unfolding. When we get a close above the 62.5 for retracement, that's what I'm watching for next. Yeah. And you're exactly right. That's where this key, I was going to talk about that next, 46.60 area right in here. So that's tomorrow. We'll be watching definitely for a close, but it would have to be a pretty crappy day if it couldn't eke out a close above there. And if it couldn't eke out a close above there, then it's probably going to close back below the 50 also, because that would be a reversal and that would put it back in neutral mode and we'd be caught in this chop again. Yeah, there was a decent bull run. I mean, it was pretty. We got those doubles coming in. and with this yesterday's price action was pretty bullish at the end of the day, and we got the continuation follow through. So those are the kind of things we're watching for. Those are the kind of things we're watching for. That's how we learn to analyze the market. Today, this was a fun day in the Nasdaq. Nasdaq was really fun. So Nasdaq with the double coming up here, even before European session really opened up. So that finished the double targets, but then look at this upper target. And this is why we have targets for the doubles, because lots of times, and this was asked in the Discord, if there's a probability that they won't follow through, and there's a probability that it will stall out and possibly reverse at those levels. That's why you have targets. Okay, not every time, but that's why when it completes the double, you take everything off, and if you want to continue with the trade, you got to use different targets. And look, that formed this double top. Below the double top, and you could also, I was watching it to trigger this morning on this one was good on the 15-minute, just spiking below and then just coming down to the first target and then the second target and then reversing really strong with momentum bars. And the same thing applies as I talked about momentum bars. This didn't give as clean a setup as the S&P did, but it did give some decent ways to jump on it, especially after it broke above this little resistance shelf. Again, lots returns. Look at that 5-minute with the rotation zone, and then you're looking to hop on it with a stop below the most recent resistance becoming support, and you ride it as long as possible. Again, end of day, returning that 15-minute. I'm not going to go over all harmonic projections upward in this. It just takes too much time, but I think everybody knows who has been here for a while how to do those shorter term projections. Let me clean this up a bit now. We didn't get to these reverse harmonics from yesterday. Just looking here. Remember, we have this clear path move. We've now closed into this clear path move, so there's very few stopping points. There's this minor ledge behind it, a couple areas, but just in the most recent price history, this is, if it can really get a move on like, again, this one did, it can run. It can run to the upside. Pretty much, I'm just going to use these harmonics for still tomorrow morning and this evening. 16,014, 16,072. Raising that a bit with the retracement harmonic, 16,170. Then above there, I mean, you just don't have much. And then the next target, 16,412 area. Above 16,412, just gotta take a look. That would be another great place to use the reverse harmonics. Did that click or not? There we go. Above there, then 16,457 would be minor, but major, I'd just be looking at 16,577 and then 16,698 to this 16,721 would be a full target for the Santa rally. On a pullback, let's just see how this is looking. I also forgot to put it in my little Nasdaq thing. Pullback, first area is this bullish line in the sands. You don't really want to drop below about 15,903, 15,900. If you did, I'd be watching this other little support wedge right here. 15,821, below 15,821. Yuck. Again, then we're watching this little, so you had support, resistance, support, so about 15,665. You get below that, that's just not looking good either, but I think that's about far. Then I'd just be going to about 15,485, 15,384, and then 15,230 should we have a disaster day. Nasdaq still weaker, still technically in bearish mode, but flattening out in this huge congestion pattern. But you can see how it made a lower low versus the S&P a higher low, and it's still where the S&P. Let's just jump back there real quick. See how we have the upward sloping price action still. I mean, if you were going to draw a channel, and I'm not going to leave this on here, but you see how we. Come on. Don't be difficult. You see how we have this sort of upward sloping. I'm just trying to draw it generically. How that is upward sloping, okay? Versus the Nasdaq is really, wow. Today's just, all right, hold on. This is frustrating me. See how that is downward sloping. So that's the difference. That's why I'm saying it's weaker. You can spot that a lot easier with those drawing those channel lines, and those aren't properly drawn. But it is, William, I see your comment. We'll get to it. All right, Dow. Dow. Again, you can see the double bottom setup, stalling at the first target, stalling at the second target, then finally going to the third target up there. So that was completed. At this point, let's just get some other projections on. I'm going to use this pausing area right there, and that just a fantastic 35,480, 35,485 cluster there. Then you get 35,590 to 36,000. So that's where we're looking. Bullish line in the sand. I'm just coming at this most recent peak right here. I'm looking for it to stay above there, and if it pulls back, I'm looking for it to get back above there, and then being in the bullish mode, juicy upside. You have some major resistance right at this 35,480 to 35,485 area. Above there, then you don't have next major resistance area until around here. So you can use 35,590 area to move up stops, and then about 35,725 next key area. Then above there, I'm going around 36,000. 36,000 on pullbacks. You got some pretty decent support around 35,303, 35,300. You start dropping below that, you have very minor support, right? Or really minor resistance becoming support right around there, 35,100. Then if we drop below that, that's would not be good. And I'd be back down to about 34,875 area. Then below that, I would just go target the lows again, and below the lows, 34,353, and then this trend line. Those are my key upside and downside. By the way, S&P, let's just jump back here, triggered a buy signal. Remember I said if we closed above yesterday's high, which we clearly did, that triggered a buy signal. The Nasdaq triggered a buy signal, again, be it more aggressive since it still could not get above the rotation zone, but that did trigger a buy signal in the Nasdaq, and the Dow also did trigger a buy signal. So we have 3 buy signals. So all the indices did a buy signal, and even the Russell did a buy signal. Although you can see how Russell is still the weakest. If you want the strength, I'd definitely be focusing on either the Dow or the Nasdaq or the S&P. If you want to really try to get something that runs, if it gets some upside momentum, then I look to the Nasdaq. All right. Let's see. William wants Boeing again. Again with the Boeing. So again, Boeing triggered a buy signal today. Actually, it triggered a couple buy signals today. So what I'd be looking for, key line, the sand now is below yesterday's low. So that's for these buy signals. The stop would be below, somewhere below yesterday's low. And to the upside, you're going to get minor with this flattening out rotation zone, but I'd start watching for this next gap fill up. And then above there, let's see, just above there, I'd be watching the top of the weekly rotation zone, which is where it is potential double bottom still in play. Everything else stays the same. Everything else stays the same, so you don't have to do anything. Sterling said market on closing balance of 380 million to the sell side. Yeah, that wasn't really worrying me. We got a request from Lions. Thank you for being here. Facebook actually triggered a buy signal. Okay, a buy signal now, and your stop would go below yesterday's low. And these buy signals can also be used. You don't have to play them if you're shorter term or you're more swing oriented, because it triggered buy signals. You can use that and use this for intraday plays. Like tomorrow, I'd be watching for this 336 area to get broken and retested, and that could be a pretty good entry right there for a run up. Again, you have this declining trend line here that was resistance before, because remember, it was here. This was the defining point back on the 22nd of November. This became the new defining point. So just watch that area for potential resistance. That's a great place to move up a stop. But you start getting a close back above. If you get another follow through close back above about this 345 area, then I'd be targeting 353. Then you got above 353. That's what you really want to see. And this could go in beyond the end of the year. This could even be into next January, because then you have this in sort of advanced clear path, 360, 42, 367, 19. Again, you don't want to see this level now broken. You don't want to see the lows. I'm just drawing a line here. This is a looks like to me a significant level right here, but my stop would still be below yesterday's lows for any buys right now, especially this daily buy. What else? Anything else? Anything else? Let's just check in on gold. See, gold's back to testing this key area. I don't think this will hold again. Cannot get a close above this 1812 area. And now back to this prior resistance becoming support. If that goes, then I'm back to 1765. Silver's just looking horrible. Silver just a little bounce, but can't get any traction. That really needs to build a good base. Pfizer. If Pfizer, remember, talked about it being very overextended. Let me just see if we had a shorter term pattern. It's a double top pattern that was triggered. I think it was triggered. Divergence here. I'd actually, since it's going against the, let's see, 58.70, where did this close? Maybe not. 58.72, not triggered on the 4 hour, but already coming down. I bet you triggered on the 1 hour. Yeah, triggered on the 1 hour. That was the only play with the 1 hour coming back down, hitting that first target, which is stop reduction, but you'd still be in it at this point. Again, my stop for that, let's say, I'm not in this on the 1 hour. This would be, again, for teaching purposes, stop with the stop reduction, because your initial stop is going to be up here. All right? Because again, if it, remember with double tops, if it comes back up and forms a triple top, you don't want to be in it, because it's more likely, slightly favors a continuation pattern. However, with this stop reduction, now my stop would be just right above into this gap fill. Why? Because if you get into this, then you're more likely to fill the gap. If you fill the gap, it becomes a triple top. So that's where you reduce your risk with that double being triggered. And it was not triggered on the 4 hour, but you see how that first target, 4 hour rotation zone, rotating back up. But if that now breaks, then definitely be watching for your lower prices. And I'm not even talking this 55.97. I'd be looking, again, we've got waning momentum. You have a divergence on this weekly. I'd be looking to something closer to the weekly rotation zone around 54 to, you know, you could, that's going to keep rising, but 54 to 55 area for a bigger pullback. SoFi did not trigger yet today. It did not trigger, I mean, the bullish entry yet. You still, if it can get above yesterday's high on a closing basis, it's an aggressive entry, and you have to watch that the rotation zone on the daily basis. SoFi, especially with this is not good price action, because let me clear out some of this, because with the markets rallying strong, it was up almost as much as the Nasdaq, but it couldn't clear yesterday's high. So I'd just be, if you are doing anything on the aggressive side with a buy in SoFi, really start to watch your stops raising. Now, tomorrow could get interesting, because you see here it's trading against the flattening out rotation zone. So again, you start getting a run, and then that close above the high from yesterday. Then unless you have a daily break momentum entry, and then you can definitely hold it longer term if it maintains above yesterday's high price on a closing basis. But then my top, and this is the week. Sorry, what was that in the weekly before? Yeah, I was on the weekly. Sorry about that. When I was looking at the week, I was looking at the weekly thing. You want to close above yesterday's high, but that did not get it. But what's interesting, you're also at the daily rotation zone. So if you do get a close and you have two tops right here, that's not a double top, that's two tops, you could easily make then a run to this 1631. Okay, because you're out of the way of that 4 hour, and you're in the daily rotation zone. So keep that in mind. You want the mining. This is actually looking interesting. A couple things going on here. I was actually looking at this on my other platform, which I have for personal use. This is the platform we do for YouTube and Discord and everything else, but this is a valid double that was triggered. 44.59, 45.31, 46.03. So that is a triggered double. And giving credit where credit's due, XME was a Christoph find. Thank you very much, Christoph. Don't see you on the stream tonight, but if you're watching the replay, thanks for catching that. I was actually looking at that, and I didn't even realize he put that. Did he put that in Discord? But that's nice. You know, silver, minings, and gold, you know, even if that breaks down a bit, this could pull back, but the mining sometimes leads the metals. So yeah, there you go. Let's yeah, thanks, Christoph. Yeah, it was in Discord. So by the way, if you're not a member of Discord, best probably $10 you'll ever spend. One-time fee, just to get in there with some other like-minded people and have discussions. And these discussions I don't even need to be in. You know, that's the point. It was to set up a place where people could learn and grow as traders and investors. Christoph is a wonderful asset to that. And look at this. You have a gap still here. Look at that double target. Thanks, WaveEC, and for Tesla. Look at that double target. Gap fill and the first target. Interesting right there. So that's definitely pretty interesting to watch for the upside. And then all your targets, even if you want, I wouldn't go with the aggressive targets for here, but even if you did, you could, it's still within the move that started it. Yeah, and as you said, Sterling, divergence too. So lower low, higher low, divergence. So you technically had a divergence reversal. Little with filling the gap with this candle, but that was a bullish candle. Then take off to the upside. That's a great little potential play. So even if you weren't in this and were interested, and now it's back above the 200, this pullbacks into this area are completely still buyable. 43, 43.13. Those are completely buyable. I mean, even if it dropped below that, it's still because your stops are down here. So, not seeing anything else. So I think we will call it a day. We'll call it with that end positive note with some interesting setups. I hope everyone has a great. Oh, well, hold on. IWN head and shoulders on 1 day chart. We'll take a look at that. Then that's it. Head and shoulder. IWM head and shoulders on 1 day chart. Are you talking about an inverse head and shoulders? Because there's no, this is not a head and shoulders, and you don't have an inverse head and shoulders. I don't see anything on here. The IWM just had, again, the Russell. We looked at the Russell. This was an aggressive buy signal. You just have to mind the other side of the rotation zone. So we had an aggressive buy signal today, and you also have a double in play for the IWM. But I just key it off the Russell futures. And you can always trade it on the IWM. All right. Thank you, everyone. I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.